All right, everybody. Thank you, and welcome back to Restaurantopia. We are here with some special guests today. I got my partner, as always, Brian Seitz. How you doing, Brian?
Hey, buddy.
Also, we've got some really special guests here and two chefs, Chef Alvaro Lima and Chef Kyla Tuori. These two are representing Unilever Food Solutions, partner of Hillcrest and eLocal Ohio, but then also a major player in the food service scene, both retail and food service. And we're excited to have you guys on to talk about a topic called fair kitchens. Imagine a perfect world where you can build a restaurant, open the doors, and make loads of money. Unfortunately, those days are over. It takes great leadership, hard work, and long hours to operate a successful restaurant. Together, we can make it happen. This is Restaurantopia. Alvaro, why don't you give us a little bit of maybe your background and tell us why why we should be listening to you.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for having me. So my name is Alvaro Lima. I've been the corporate chef for Unilever Food Solutions for going on 7.5 years now. I love everything I do. I get to connect and meet new operators and customers every week.
Kyla?
Yeah. Oh, it's my turn now. Well, I'm honored to work with Chef Alvaro. So let's just put that right off the bat because he's amazing. So I'm actually the Canadian corporate chef. I don't know if we have any Canadians that are going to be listening, but hi there. And I've actually
Nova Scotia.
Shout out. And I've been with our company for 15 years, but I've been the North American ambassador for Fair Kitchens for the past, like 3 years now, I guess. Time flies when you're in a pandemic. So it's something that, honestly, it's the best part of my job. It means so much to me. And I know that Chef Alvaro feels the same way, that yeah, we get to meet new people all the time, but we actually can do something that can start to help these people as well in a way that really, really counts. So anyway, we're super excited to be here today. So thank you.
Appreciate having you on. And I think Brian and I are super excited just to hear a little bit more about this Fair Kitchens concept, like how it started, what's going on, what's new,
Yep.
What your guys' roles are, and really just get the listener excited. You said a mouthful when you said the last 3 years have been, kind of crazy. Like it's, to be able to focus on something like this, I think is impressive. So would love to hear more about that.
You know what it was about the last 3 years too, Dave, is like, it's the pandemic that exacerbated issues that were already present in our industry. And it's something we all know about, right? Yeah.
No, it's just we've all lived it, and it's like, oh, that's just the pre-pandemic is like, oh, it's just the way it is. Like, mental illness, drug abuse, like all sexual harassment, like inequities across the board. Like you just lived it, and it's like, oh, that was just the way it is, and we're all accountable for that. And I think the pandemic with the labor shortage just woke everyone up.
And that is, you nailed it exactly, because as soon as business owners, not the people actually working in kitchens, but as soon as business owners started to say, hey, why are people leaving the industry in droves? Why can I not find good help? What's happening here? Well, we've always had a problem with how people are being treated. Are they going to be paid properly? Are we taking that into account?
It's not 100% the business owner's issue. It's also the setup. No matter what, like, is the front of the house is making a ton of money and the back of the house is doing a ton of work.
Yeah.
And not to disparage the front of the house at all, but I put myself through school bartending, or I put myself through school being a waiter. No one says I put myself through school being a sous chef. I mean, like it's a lot less rare, at least.
Absolutely. Well, and to what you're saying too, yes, it's not just business owners. Everybody can play a part in this. And that's exactly what we focus on with Fair Kitchens, is how can, as a team, front of house and back of house business owners, head chefs, line cooks, everybody can be involved in making this difference. And this isn't all about Fair Kitchens was a movement that was created in 2017. It launched in the US in 2018. Then it has now been rolled out globally. And we're very lucky because as Unilever Food Solutions supports this movement, so everything is absolutely free. It's available globally. We also have partners that are doing this in South Africa, in the UK. And so it's all about making as much impact and as much change as possible to help support businesses be the best that they can be, to make them a healthier environment for people to work in.
Give us an overview of the program and Unilever's involvement and how it works.
Absolutely. So, well, the Unilever involvement part too, it's funny, I don't generally lead with the fact like, hey, we're Unilever and this is Fair Kitchens. It's actually more the other way around, as you can imagine. But really why it's important to know that Unilever is involved is that, because people often say, like, what do you mean it's free? And so it's like that one also helps explain it. We actually did a survey, a global survey in 2017 that again just kind of uncovered everything that, as we already talked about, already know about what's happening in the industry. And some of the stuff, I have some numbers that came out here, but 63%, and this was across the globe, report having suffered from depression. 53% felt like they were being pushed to the breaking point. 1 in 4 felt like they were a victim of physical or verbal abuse. 74 were exhausted or sleep deprived, 74%. Like that's insane to actually see those numbers. Like it's a thing we know, but now to actually hear it and have it be supported by fact was a wake-up call, really, of something's got to change.
Yeah, because that sounded like you described every kitchen in America just now. But
Exactly.
But again, to see it in statistics, makes it a little more.
You're kind of like, oh man, that's horrifying, and it really is, because all these studies that are out there that talk about like high stress jobs, and working in a kitchen is meant to be one of the most stressful jobs, and we know that. So we kind of, as Unilever, we're like, you know what, we've got a lot of resources. We're very lucky. We have a ton of resources at our fingertips. It's really on us to help support the people that work in our industry and help make a change. So that's why it got started.
We have that ability to be a resource to our customers, right? And so like I mentioned earlier about being inside a new kitchen every week, we have that opportunity to share what Fair Kitchens is, other than trying to be a salesperson, other than trying to be somebody that's doing R&D or working on recipes and menu development for an operator. We have that opportunity to say, hey, this is a program that we really stand behind, that is near and dear to our hearts. How can I help you help your staff?
So walk us through the interaction with so you said, you're in multiple kitchens. Obviously you guys are out there doing work for Unilever, obviously, but this is a higher purpose. So walk us through that interaction. Like, so are you actually in we'll call it a customer's, kitchen, and then this is a conversation you have, this is a sales pitch, this is I don't mean to dumb it down, but I mean, like, walk me through that interaction with the location.
Yeah, so typically we'd walk in with our sales team. It's usually a chef and a sales team or a regional manager, and we would go in to do an ideation of some sort, right? Work on whatever recipes that they may be struggling with, or menu items that they may be struggling with. Try to fit in some of our product, of course. But I think the cool thing is at the end, as our wrap up, we try to share what all of our resources are. Right. We have a great marketing team that is, at their fingertips. We have a great culinary team that whenever they needed help, just like we were doing that day, we would be available to them, any other day or any other month, whatever, for LTOs and stuff like that. But we also like to bring up Fair Kitchens because it's something that they may be struggling with, right? They're already struggling with labor. What is the reason for that? What is the culture like inside your kitchen currently? Is there something that can change? Is there something better that you could be doing? And here are some resources as to what you could be doing. Simply saying thank you or good job to somebody can really make somebody's day, right? Make an impact on someone. Or even listening to, line cooks. They all have, this ability of thinking on their feet, and maybe they have a menu idea that they're like really want to push, but they're too scared to share that with the chef, and being able to open up and say, hey, what if we did a Italian beef tamale as an LTO, with this show, The Bear, being so popular and Italian beefs being so popular now. What if we did that? Being able to open up and say, hey, this is something that I want to do. I can help execute it. Do I have your sign off on it? And the chef being like, let's do it. If you feel strong about selling, 50 orders of this, let's do it. Something simple like that. And that comes back to the retention, right? The employment retention. This guy now is feeling like he's being heard. He feels like his boss is now accepting what he wants to offer. Chances are He's going to keep coming to work. He's going to keep bringing ideas, hopefully, and or you never know, maybe bring in a buddy or two and say, hey, let's go in and do some cool stuff there.
No, that's amazing. And it sounds like it's really like a grassroots effort to instill a different mindset in this industry. Is that fair? Like, I mean, and I don't say that lightly, because for us, like, we feel mindset's huge. Like the way your mind is set up, to think about things and to take on the day and go out there and whether, doing your job, whether you're, like I said, we're all in the supply chain in some aspects. So whether we're delivering the boxes or whatever it is, like, sometimes it's mindset's everything. Like Brian and I get hopped up on just simple like lessons we've learned, over just around mindset. Because once your mind's set in the right place, magic happens.
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, it's so hard, right, to change a lot of people's behaviors and their mindset. We know that. I mean, everybody can say, of course, we all want the industry to be a great place, but it's some people you need to convince. And how do you motivate them to do that? And that's where leadership does come into play. So a big part of what we offer is leadership training. We actually have some online, free, again, totally free, 7 different modules, 30 minutes at a time. And it's about different aspects of leadership training. And it can be about mental health, crisis management, like key areas where you may already have somebody that's good at that, or you may have promoted somebody into a leadership position that they had seniority and that's how they ended up there, but they don't necessarily have the skill set. And on top of that, what's kind of really nice is we worked with the Culinary Institute of America on it. So when you're done and you do your assessment, you actually get a certificate from them. So that was something really tangible and lovely that we've been able to add to our support, our tools, and our resources that we have available. Honestly, at the end of the day, it's how many people can we help? And there's a lot of different smaller organizations that are doing something like this, a lot of non-for-profit. And it's how can we work together? It's not in competition with, it's how can we pool our resources and make as much impact as possible. When we started, Fair Kitchens was talking about, let's impact, 17 million restaurants around the world. Like we had like very strategic targets and we still do. The pandemic slowed it down a little, but we're getting there. And it's through building partnerships with other big associations that have reach. And it's also having people pledge to be a Fair Kitchen, which is something that any of our listeners can do. They can go on our site, pledge to be a Fair Kitchen. They can receive a toolkit that has some framework guides on how to start really difficult conversations with your team. We have our team's framework, which is actually a poster that outlines what really a Fair Kitchen is. And it's interesting. I actually had worked with this student at an event and she used to work at a hotel. And, she volunteered to work with us, but I don't think she really looked at the website or knew who we were. So when she showed up, I was, how students are. Yeah, whatever. Am I getting paid?
I'm in.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you want me to just stand there all day at a booth? Cool. But when she came and she saw our booth, she was like, oh, that. She's like, we had that poster in our kitchen at the hotel. And she was like, I was like, well, did you guys ever talk about it? She's like, yeah, we actually used it as a point of reference often. And it was so nice to hear a real life example that just randomly I had heard about. So that's part of the toolkit people can receive when they pledge to be a friend of. And this is, again, I want to be clear too, because I know this question always comes up is like, who's to say who's a Fair Kitchen and who's not a Fair Kitchen? Who's doing it right? Who's not doing it right? We are 100% not here to police anybody. And at the end of the day, our lofty goal is to have it be some sort of certification or accreditation where on the consumer end of things, not only will they see, hey, that restaurant's a Fair Kitchen, I want to dine there, but also that potential employees will be like, hey, I know that they value having a healthy work environment. I want to work there. So that's our end goal.
I think that's so very important. And with the pandemic and all the change that's happened to the industry and all of us, I think you need to connect more with your staff and to put this out there so they know that you're taking it serious, but also give it a framework and a roadmap on how we do that. Because it's hard to take someone who's been a restaurant owner for 20 years and, change their behavior or change anyone's behavior. But you look at this as such a big catalyst, that being the pandemic, to change. I think it's a great project. And I also think it's great for owners, but even if you're not the owner, if you're a staff member and you want to bring this to the owner and say, hey, this is something I think we can implement and really improve the culture here. Now, boss, you already got a great culture, but this could make it just a little bit better. It can be your idea. So that's a tool, I think, that oftentimes what I find is, paralysis by analysis. People just don't know where to start, and they just don't know where to begin a process. So, this is a roadmap, which I love.
Saying, to tag on to Brian's thought process there, like, I love the fact that you have the ability to sign up as a Fair Kitchen. You got the toolkit, because it creates another level of, like, Chef Alvaro comes in and has a conversation. One conversation isn't going to change years and years of habits. You know what I mean? But signing up, having accountability to something, putting it up on the wall, having it visible, talking about it, like those types of things create change, which is awesome. So I just wanted to comment to that. I think that's great.
They receive, monthly newsletters via email as well. It's just a little reminder here. Here are some things that you guys can practice. Here are some things that, we found useful from somebody else's kitchen. Or
the stigma of kitchens, like, and you guys have all lived through it, like, you made a comment earlier about, like, it might be about, saying, hey, I want to try this dish and challenge myself to sell 50, of these dishes that, on the weekend or whatever it is. And then you made a comment about bringing a buddy, to work. Like, that seems so small, but when you think about the labor issues we're having and the things that are going on, like, for somebody to be working somewhere and to actually refer their friends to work at the same place is probably the highest compliment you can get from an employee when you think about it. You know what I mean? Like, they could talk all day long about how they love their job and everything's great and it's awesome, but when they're actually referring their friends to work at the place they work at, pretty big deal.
When this initially launched, proposed this support and the idea of it, and did they want to partner with us with a group of chefs that maybe were from that previous generation, right? Where you got to earn your keep, and you got to go through that sort of stuff to be able to prove yourself and to even be in the industry, et cetera, et cetera. And essentially, saw us talking about something like this as a lecture. And that's why I'm very cautious to start things with, nobody's here judging anybody or pointing fingers. It's simply offering support for those that want to engage and in areas where they want to engage with it. Because some people may be doing an amazing job with diversity and inclusion with their staff. They've got really great hiring processes. They do a lot of team events to help include a lot of people. They're conscientious of language barriers, all of this that plays into it. But maybe they're not as well versed on mental health, or they feel uncomfortable having those conversations with their teams, or at least letting somebody on their team know, hey, you're open to talk to me. And so that's the beautiful thing about a lot of the support and resources we offer, is it covers this area, and you can really delve in as a leader on what you think you want to work on, or maybe an area that you think your team struggles with the most. And it at least gives you some sort of framework and guidance, how to start those conversations, where you can go for professional help. Because that's the other thing. I mean, it's not us creating the content, it's us engaging with experts in the industry, psychologists that are in the industry, et cetera, to make sure that people are getting what is most relevant to them, but is also industry specific, because we know that it's not just an emotional thing that happens within our industry, but it's the physical, like literal back breaking. I heard a story about somebody that broke their back because they were trying to carry too many things. And you think about how all of this plays into a healthier environment. So how can we at least guide people to have those conversations?
How many people over the years have left the industry because of one bad experience, or have suffered, again, if they were in a weak point in their life and had suffered some, emotional trauma, and, now they're in some other industry when, they really, that was their path. That was their calling, to be in the culinary industry and food service, and it never happened. So I think this is a great program. Where can people find more resources? Where do they go? Like, all right, I want to do this Fair Kitchen thing. Sounds really cool. I love the Restaurantopia podcast.
Yeah, right. It is.
I love the Restaurantopia newsletter, but I would like one more good one. Where can they find that?
Brian, you're the best. So they can absolutely go to fairkitchens.com is our landing page. So you can access all of the different resources and tools. It's all broken down into different categories. That's where you can also pledge to be part of Fair Kitchens, get that toolkit. If we want to work on a partnership together. You'll also see some other examples of that on our site. And then that will also lead you to that free leadership training we were talking about. You can also follow us on socials. So we have a lot that we post on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. If you go to Instagram, it's a lot of highlighting those that are doing it really, really well. And we hope that by people either watching some of the IG lives or seeing some of the posts or participating in some of the little quick surveys that we have on there, that it'll inspire them. Or at least, sometimes when something's going on and somebody can like say, hey, yeah, I've had that experience too. Yeah. Just even having that makes you feel a little bit better.
Sure.
Like I'm not the only one. So those are kind of the main ways in which you can get in contact with us.
Chef Kyla, Chef Elvira, we are so happy to have you guys. This is an awesome movement. I implore the listeners to check this out, participate if you can. If you are doing stuff like this, kudos. We love it. Send us your stories. We'd love to share them. Can't thank you enough for being on here, and we hope to see you guys soon.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate. I love talking about this anytime, as you could tell. But thank you so much, and it's been so great to be here.
Thank you. Yes, I love love the conversation.
This is a high quality pod. Thank you, everybody.
Take care. Adios.
Thank you for listening to Restaurantopia. The gratitude that we have for each and every one of you spending your precious time to listen to this podcast is immeasurable. Please make sure to tell a friend about this podcast. And also, if you have any feedback for us, visit us on restaurantopia.com and drop us a line. You can also subscribe on your favorite place to listen to podcasts. Thank you and have a great day.
We are excited to announce the Restaurantopia VIP Text Club. Join by texting the word podcast to 844-928-4257. You will get access to exclusive content, industry news, deals, announcements, pro tips, and more. The VIP Text Club is an exclusive community of independent restaurant owners and professionals. Join today. Message and data rates may apply. Please check our website for our terms of service and privacy policy.
We also want to thank our sponsor, Hillcrest Food Service. If you are a local independent restaurant and are looking for a distributor who has chef and operational consulting, provides marketing support, does menu reviews, and most importantly, wants you to be successful, reach out to Hillcrest Food Service at hillcrestfoods.com.